So we've gotten this far into your story.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Brass and Unity.
Yeah.
How
Weird,
did
huh?
it get started?
Weird, huh?
That's how we met too.
We met at it was the TEDx.
Yeah.
The TEDx, yeah.
And you had a line of jewelry then, and it wasn't called Brass and Unity.
No, it was called Her Wearables. It
Yes.
was like where I was still just starting.
So this must have been in 2015. So
Yeah.
a year before that, you
Yeah.
started making jewelry on your kitchen
Table. Yeah, kitchen table.
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I totally did. Yeah, well, because at the time, so my doctor suggested maybe trying art therapy. I thought that was very silly because he knew me better than that to know that I'm not going to sit there and paint all day. Like, it won't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of put a spin on that. And I was like, well, I'm going to try like a different version of art therapy. And I had slowly been hearing about crystals, like amethysts and howlites and rose quartz and all that. And I started hearing that, they work for stress and things like that. And I've never really been the person to believe any of that. But then I was at that point in my, healing with PTSD that I was so exhausted and so tired of just nothing working. I was so done with nothing working. And I was willing to try anything at that point to make myself feel any better or feel anything because I was numb, completely numb. So I went to a bead store and bought up a bunch of beads and went to Michael's and bought some elastic and some wire and some pliers and started kind of playing. And then I got a bunch of old casings from some friends, and my husband got me a pipe cutter and a drill and a hammer, and I just started hammering on brass casings, and I started building bracelets and jewelry. And when I look back at them now, I'm like, how did anybody pay for that? Like, it crushes me.
Brass casings. Did you get that from Michael's too?
No, those I had some friends in the military that I got some from.
Right.
Now that would be, Michael's wouldn't carry that sort of.
I was just, yeah.
You're like, when did Michael start carrying ammunition? No, so I got some from them, and I started building some jewelry, and I brought it to a couple stores. Some friends started buying them, and I brought it to a couple stores, and they kind of said, do you have line sheets? And I was like, I don't know what a line sheet is. They're like, do you have pricing? I'm like, no. So I just kind of learned the rough way. And I was fortunate because my husband owns 2 companies of his own that are very successful. He's an entrepreneur on his own. And my father-in-law had a very successful company. So I really had a lot of knowledge to pull from. Mm-hmm. And they really took me under their wing. And I said one day at Cactus Club in White Rock, I said, hey guys, I'm going to start a jewelry company. And they're like, okay, cool. What do you need? And that was it. And it started there.
Is that an idea that you came up with?
I had a dream. Yeah, I had a weird dream that I was going to start a jewelry company and I was going to call it Her. And that's where that came from. I have no idea why, but I did. And then a year later, we changed the name and completely revamped and redesigned, rebranded everything, changed everything, and started manufacturing. And we moved from the kitchen table to a small room in the house. Then we moved from the small room to the entire basement. And then 2 years ago, we moved into our first office and warehouse building. And we did our first build out. And that's where we are now.
It sounds to me, because I remember when I met you 5 years ago with Her Wearables, you had decided then that you were going to donate a portion of each sale to veterans and veterans assistance.
That was the whole cause, is I wanted to know that not only could I do something, but I could do something that I knew could have purpose. And the purpose was helping these people because I was sick and tired of getting calls, because I was getting calls that my friends are killing themselves left, right, and center. And that the narrative is that 22 a day. We're losing 22 people a day. That's like the number, but it's so much higher than that because we don't know the real numbers, because it's not often they don't know that it's because of maybe PTSD or service-related injury. So the numbers are kind of a bit of askew there. But in terms of, I'm tired of the suicide being the option. And I was tired of seeing our veterans go homeless and, addiction on the rise with the homeless veterans, because they've got nobody to turn to for help, and they have no way of getting help because they have nobody to teach them how. And it just kind of sparked from there. And I wanted to do something, whether it was a foundation or a charity or a nonprofit. I just knew I wanted to do something.
Was this part of your dream when you dreamt of starting your own jewelry company?
Yeah.
You always knew you were going to find a way to help
veterans. I just needed to help these people because I felt now at this point, I was pulled away. In my mind, I had some things happen on the tour that there had to be a reason I lived through. There had to be. There's no way I should have, but I did. No logical reason. So I had to use whatever that reason was. I had to use that wisely. Use that time I'm being given wisely, to do whatever it needed to be to help our community and help our vets and help our first responders too, because it's not just our vets, right? It's our vets are obviously, I'm one of them, but our first responders, like I see what they go through on a daily basis, and I see what they go through just by knowing friends that are first responders, and it's really rough to watch. So I needed to find a way. And this just happened to be that way. So we donate now, Brass and Unity donates 20% of all net profits to different veteran and first responder organizations all over the world. Through every piece we sell, something gets donated, and the rest of it goes to funding the company. I don't take a paycheck. I don't take any money from this company. The goal is to donate $1 million before I ever take anything out of it.
I didn't know that. That wasn't part of my research anywhere.
No.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. I don't take a single pay.
And your insurance has been cut off.
Yeah, so it's weird. So I told them that I was going to call the news, and I did. And an article came out quite quickly. And what I found was really crazy about that was I started getting hundreds of emails from vets all over Canada going, this is happening to me. This happened to me. They did that to me. They did this to me. And they cut me off, and there was nothing I could do about it. And, that was it. And I started to realize really quickly how many people were being severely affected by this.
Right.
Not just like Veterans Affairs,
but class action lawsuit or
well, Manulife is an insurance company. They're not even the government. Manulife is the insurance company that the government they use a program called CSIP.
Right.
Yeah. It's a vocational rehab program.
Okay.
That can provide long-term disability or they can pay for schooling for retraining. So yeah, I mean, I want people to know what's going on so that if they can step out and reach out and go, oh my God, it's happening to me too. Like if we could get all of us to realize that this is all happening to us, and we don't deserve it. Nobody deserves this. We don't deserve to be followed by private investigators taking pictures of us, trying to prove that our injuries, what we provide on paper is what we, say every year. Because every year we have to provide documentation to them, stating why we're still injured.
Right.
I have friends who've lost legs that still have to do that.
The type of person who would want to enroll or enlist in the military and go overseas and fight for the country doesn't sound like the type of person who would be motivated to commit fraud
or scam the system.
Like it makes no sense to me.
None of us enjoy having to leave our jobs that we worked so hard for, trained so hard for. When people don't understand, I had one of the people from Manulife say that to me. Well, we're going to send you to a new doctor, one of our doctors, to get a proper assessment because we don't believe you're doctors. And I said, do you know how sad that they said, just be professional? I said, you want me to be professional about some of the most traumatic things that have ever happened in my lifetime? I said, that right there just shows how insensitive you are, and your training needs to change because their clients that they're dealing with are people like me and way, way worse. Mind you, I'm a lot better than I used to be. I still have my days, don't you get me wrong. Every day is a new day, every day is a struggle, every day is different. Some days are great. Some days you don't get out of bed, but that's the nature of the beast of having that disorder. So it's sad when you hear that response from them, that you just hope that those people are better educated in dealing with situations like that.
Right.
I think that would help the community so much more. So that's our goal, is just to, not just be a jewelry company, not just be an accessory, but be a movement, a piece for hope, a product for change. That's what I want. That's all I want.